What's up, everyone? Hi. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So this guy that I recently discovered yesterday. Um, his name is mamamax. We need to talk about this guy because he did some very questionable stuff that that currently involves with playing like deceiving victims from his supposed he had this sort of like hero complex basically, and now he's finally getting exposed for it. That was so terrible. But yes, let me actually share my screen real quick. But yeah, this is the dude I was talking about, Mama Mats. This guy is a piece of shit. He has this like I said, this hero complex, like the superiority complex, saying like, "Oh, I help victims to the case." When in reality, he messed around. Some of the stuff he said are fake, and now because of this stupid bitch, he's painting the image of those same victims. People are gonna think, oh, it's just a joke then, like it's not real. When supposedly some of the stuff that most YouTubers covered, how to rephrase this actually. It's like as if people are not gonna take victims seriously all because of the actions of this guy. That's like insane, right? This is insane, and this is a fucking liar. And the worst part is that he is suing people. He is suing. Yeah, he is suing people for Okay, why did notification come up? He's suing people just so that he no one covers him basically. Like if you talk about him in a negative way, he is planning to sue you, which go ahead, Mom, Mats. If you're hearing this, go ahead and sue me. Go ahead, because I'm actually gonna uplift the victims of you have damaged. I'm gonna uplift their voices. I'm gonna uplift those voices, those victim voices that you have damaged. A what was the whole point of you and I'm gonna talk about her too. Spencer, I'm gonna talk about her too. Oh, can't wait. She Spencer is a very contradicting person. I'm gonna talk about her. Forgive me, my voice is a little tight, like a little strained, because like I'm recovering from strep. But thinks he has like this superiority hero complex that he can handle dangerous cases such as no one takes victims seriously, and this is why these cases like these should be handled to trained professionals, to trained officers. As someone who has a fiance who is in law enforcement and is starting to be a detective and a lawyer as well, um this is something that should not be handled on the internet. And I'm gonna pinpoint that right now. This is something that shouldn't cases like what Max is doing should not be handled on the internet. It should be handled to trained professionals, like trained officials, because they're specially trained for they call it they're specifically trained to handle cases like these, and that's why this is why law enforcement exists. Oh my god, sorry, but I'm gonna show that real quick. Spencer, and yeah, We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but what this guy has done, like, oh my god, and the fact that he, what should I call it? He's made a cult of. He's made a cult basically, and he's calling out all those YouTubers like who have like he like he's like DMing like participate in this project. We're trying to upload it. We're trying to go amplify those victims. Like, and I do get like I do get what he's saying, but it's like it's actually carrying all the victims. And another thing, he every time on it every single video of his, he always like mentions his Patreon. Like if you do this, if you do that, go support my Patreon or whatever. He has and he claims that he will donate half of his like most of the fair share. He said that he will donate most of the fair share to the victims in each of these cases. He has not done so at all. In fact, he has been withholding the money ever since his whole shit started. My mic, oh my god, dude, I hate my mic, bro. I really do. Dude, I freaking hate my mic, bro. What the hell? But yeah, this guy is a piece of shit, and we're gonna like what do you call it? Muta has a better explanation of this than I did, so we're gonna actually see Muta's video.
It's a video I don't want to make because it's personally so uncomfortable. It's a video about someone I and many in the community considered a friend, and on a personal level regarding very personal things. But that's me going into things that I shouldn't need to. I also did today. As you know, when I upload things to my channel, it can be about computer software, it can be about creepy games, it can be browsing the weirder side of the internet, like the deep web. It can be looking at trending things. It could be a bunch of stuff, mostly lighthearted. And yes, I do occasionally dip into things that are very serious. But when it comes to situations regarding, on a daily basis. So let's get started. This is the story of how Mama Max has failed what he considers a very serious investigation. A prime example of how YouTubers should not be involved with serious situations like this. So let's start off with the story. The story begins on October 3rd, 2023, where Max sends me a message on Discord. Hey Muda, I hope you've been well. I don't want to bother, but I thought you might appreciate a heads up about an upcoming project of mine. I'm on the verge of releasing a video for Halloween that is likely to generate significant drama. While it may be deemed controversial, the intent behind it is for charity. The video is designed to be a trap for reaction channels. Knowing your integrity and the quality of your content, I would hate for you to be caught off guard. At the same time, we would be honored if you would consider covering this in a thoughtful manner. To facilitate a deeper discussion, may I include you in a group chat with other influencers who are also considering covering this topic. If confidentiality is not an issue, I'd be more than happy to send you the we've included. Look forward to hearing from you, Max. Now, to understand, initially I read this and said, I'm down to hop in, man. Good to hear from you. Hope everything is well. And again, Max says, it's good to hear from you as well, bro. I'll add you in a few moments. Hey, Muda, just wanted to know your current thoughts within the group chat. Now, if you notice the exact dates of these messages, you'll probably pick up that around this time in October, I was already busy with a massive investigation under our belt. In the following weeks from my response to Max, I would release a video on the completionist and further investigate that situation with a fellow YouTuber known as Carl Jobst. I was also in and out of the country for personal reasons, and I wasn't really able for anything else, as I wasn't really available for doing anything, as you can assume during this time. I was mostly away from Discord, and if you really wanted to contact me, using Twitter to directly message me or calling me on my personal cell phone is usually the best tactic, which a lot of people in this scene, if you need to absolutely contact me, have. That said, I can't confirm what happened in the group chat Max invited me to, as I honestly don't remember checking it, nor which creators specifically. So a few days after inviting me to this group, Max inquires and asks, Mudahar, it's been a bit since we've caught up, and I get that your plate is probably overflowing, but I wanted to touch base again. Sorry if our previous chats have been a bit heavy. These issues are really close to my heart, and that's exactly why we need to keep the conversation going. You've got a seriously powerful platform, and within your reach, we could risk for the betterment of children's lives. Just a little bit of your time could go a long way. No pressure to dive into the subject, but if you could spare a couple of hours for an interview to sit down and talk for an initial engagement. A few days later, Max says, I'm reaching out again because the voices of child survivors cannot be ignored. I've shared their stories with you because heartening, but I still remain hopeful. Please understand, we are determined to be heard and will continue to seek influencers who have the power to do something heroic. Watching the attached video and acknowledging their plight. Now, obviously, at the end of this, you can see that it becomes very apparent that Max is emotionally guilting me into speaking and promoting a topic that I haven't actually seen much concrete evidence on, nor do I know much about, because and the thumbnail being Charlie initially had me worried that something nefarious was going on or about to come out on a close online associate, given the nature of Max's predatory hunting content. This video was never briefly to the story Max is covering, and then focus on cults, misinformation, and artificial intelligence in our world. At this time, I respond back. Max, I've seen your latest video and have caught up with this whole situation. I haven't seen the 5-hour podcast with Spencer, who is one of the victims. She has her own channel where she posted a 4 to 5 hour account of her involvement and experience with this cult that we are going to. It's quite long, and I feel the story could do with a bit more structure. This is a serious matter, and I have no issues covering it. I would like the victims to seek proper restitution, but going it in this manner isn't the best. I would be down to talk further with these victims and analyze this evidence if their claims are as solid as it's being depicted. And at this moment, Max had literally called the person in this video. He wasn't alleging, he was actually materially accusing them of.
On March 18th, 2016, Spencer, a 16-year-old girl from Wiley, Texas, mysteriously disappeared, lured by the illusion of joining a supernatural family as a vampire on some random corner of the internet. She actually found herself ensnared in a dangerous cult led by a child predator posing as a werewolf god. The man had recruited hundreds of young children, subjecting them to sending CP, assault, and attempted trafficking. Almost 7 years later, Spencer and the other survivors shared their stories with me. This video serves as their scream for action against their perpetrator.
A few minutes later, towards a text scroll at the end of the video, you can see that he puts an entire full name, pinning those serious accusations on this person who is alleged to be this cult leader. So these were very, very serious accusations, which need to be matched with very, very serious, corroborative, ironclad evidence. The videos you produce don't damn Cameron. A lot of the screenshots don't punch hard since they're on screen for less than a second and lack the required context. If you want this person to be damned and attract the attention of a broader community, we need to sit down and piece this together out from beginning to its current stages in a damning but digestible manner. The story has a beginning, and we need to start there. And that's where I'm going to leave these messages at, okay? Obviously, I communicated with Max privately about the situation, but as we are making this video now, it's evolved into an entire miasma of complete confusion for people jumping in. And if you're confused now, just wait until we dig in further. Now, it's understandable that the story actually belongs to Max. Max was the first one to bring it to YouTube, and when you're making incredibly serious claims like he was making, they require incredibly serious corroborative evidence. You can't necessarily go to any YouTuber and tell them, hey, please say some of the most insane accusations you can make about anybody's character, and do that basically on blind faith. Yes, I know that he said to people that there is evidence locked behind an NDA. But if that evidence isn't publicly available, you literally are opening yourself up to a very, very serious claim from this person. That also said, making these serious claims can only entice this person if they're actually, say, allegedly guilty of them. And it could caused them to go down and delete evidence so that if they know that they are under scrutiny or investigation, they might start actually getting rid of actionable evidence that can exist. If these people are potentially armed and dangerous, it could make them go above the edge, over the edge, and then actually cause harm to the people around them as some form of retribution to somebody online. And that's why you have to be incredibly careful. You can't be making claims unless you can 100% back them with evidence that would hold up in a court of law, let alone public opinion. But with that also said, I understand that evidence sometimes can't be perfect. Sometimes you can't have silver bullets sitting around. But if you don't have anything actionable at all, then it's best kept quiet until you do. But this is where Max obviously wanted to cover the story, make these claims, and the way that he presented them was rather odd. And this is where part 2 of this video comes into, where we look at Max's rebranding, known as God Cult. This video, Brainwash Your Favorite Influencer, begins with a QR code and a text to the bottom asking viewers to send the video to large specific channels. He scrolls a massive disclaimer. I need frame-by-frame analysis to read. 2 key points from this bullshit that I found interesting to me was when Max had signified that this was fictitious materials, when in reality, this is serious allegations we're talking about. How is this a fictitious element, and why are we putting any of that into this video? Even if it is for legal reasons, can we actually believe anything that you're about to say and the people that you're about to name? That's a pretty big point of contention, and one that we'll come back to round towards the end of the video. The other big part is when he starts pointing out that if influencers deny anything here in this, then they could be one of these following horrible things like internet predators, like human traffickers, groomers, so on and so forth, which again is insane to put anybody critical of what they're about to see, especially when they should be critical of what Max is about to post, into a severe camp just again for denying any of the contents that he's posted in this video. So anyways, he asks to send this video to their favorite influencer to test them on their character. He guides through a tutorial on using the YouTube frame-by-frame keyboard commands to prepare viewers for a game. And he asks a series of questions. If God appeared before you and told you to sacrifice a child, would you do it? What? Then he gives another long string of BS that I have to frame by frame analyze. Now you can read this for yourself by pausing the video or slowing down. I've slowed the footage down by around 70%. So to understand the actual stuff that he's talking about is humanity will end up destroying itself if we don't protect our children. Children should be taught self-sufficiency, and these are all noble things to say. He falls into a tangent about artificial intelligence and, again, misinformation. These are topics that come up throughout this entire series later. But again, this is part of where the video's artsy natures come into. So hopefully soon we'll be getting into talking about the actual allegations he will be making. What comes next is a video from a cult expert that Max has brought on. And then it dives right into the first serious allegation and key part of this story.
On March 18th, 2016, Spencer, a 16-year-old girl from Wiley, Texas, mysteriously disappeared. Lured by the illusion of joining a supernatural family as a vampire on some random corner of the internet, she actually found herself ensnared in a dangerous cult led by a child predator posing as a werewolf god. The man had recruited hundreds of young children, subjecting them to sending CP, assault, and attempted trafficking. Almost 7 years later, Spencer and the other survivors shared their stories with me. This video serves as their scream for action against their perpetrator.
Now give yourself a second to breathe. These are very serious allegations. These type of allegations require absolute concrete proof and not a YouTube video, okay? This should be reviewed by lawyers, sent to police agencies. This is serious stuff. And so when we get to this, who is Max claiming to target? He talks about Camden. Now here, Max gives full names, plays loud music, and again, I have to frame by frame analyze, which for a serious topic like this, please stop the theatrics. Present this with the respect it deserves. There's a possibility that he will use anonymous accounts on various internet forums to spread rumors or false information about the victim or filmmakers. Any proof of a disinformation campaign, maybe some screenshots of his various accounts and postings, none of that are provided here. He may attempt to engage drama-oriented media sources, leveraging their platforms to spin a narrative in their favor. To my knowledge, no one in that drama-specific community has been contacted by this person. And that also said, this isn't drama, Max. This is a serious crime we're discussing. And that's what bugs me. Why are we not treating this with actual respect? This isn't a fucking Netflix show. This is a serious, heinous crime. He has a history of spreading disinformation to deflect the allegations against him. Again, where's the proof? Any links to his posts online or his accounts that are spreading this disinformation? In this video, nothing like that's given. He may resort to legal threats as a method to suppress the story and silence victims. To this date, no one covering this has reported that they've received any legal notices from this person. According to multiple sources, he is implicated in criminal activities affecting minors. Again, it's up to Max to provide the relevant reports for us all to see in this section, which he didn't do. And we'll revisit this person's legal situation later. It's not uncommon for figures like him to accuse detractors of slanders in an attempt to shift the narrative. As of the time of me recording this, no one to my knowledge has been communicated by this person specifically. There's a possibility that he will use social media and other platforms to discredit us or make counterclaims to confuse the public. The individual, once again, hasn't posted publicly and about this to my knowledge. Max, you got to substantiate these massive claims. That is your job as a person delivering this story. He gives us his name, which I'm going to refer to as K to make it simple. He cuts to a montage of what he discusses human trafficking is evolving, destructive culture growing, an enemy of the children is an enemy of us all. God cult is translated to guard our descendants. That's the cult. It's about protecting children. He asks us to share Spencer's story and asks the audience to contact several large YouTubers. Some of them include H3H3. Some of them include Joe Rogan. Some of them include Anthony Fontano. Literally, he is in this video asking Anthony Fontano, check it out, there's a cool banger you're hearing. In the same video where he is discussing very serious allegations and very, very serious stories regarding victims. You can imagine why a lot of people are looking at this as him treating this as a joke. It's not a joke. This is serious. And in reality, what are people like Mr. Beast? What are people like PewDiePie going to do? What are you going to bring his kid into this? What, he's a father now, so he's not going to signal boost unsubstantiated claims? What is Joe Rogan going to do about this situation? None of these people are experts or have any legal backing to help you in this situation. All they can do is make unsubstantiated claims alongside you, which ultimately hurts this case more than it helps it. Now, I was expecting at the end of this video more explanation of how this person was a cult leader or how they human trafficked Spencer. So far, we have her testimony, but no real hard-hitting, irrefutable evidence that corroborates that testimony that can at least be publicly shared. Max has already called this person a child predator. And I'm not a fly on the wall, so I don't know if that statement is true or not. The only way to prove that statement is true is evidence, which Max has not provided publicly yet. How can a creator stick their neck out and help when this whole situation relies on blind faith instead of facts? I worked on a case recently with Carl, which relied on us, not the same situation, mind you, definitely less serious, but it relied on providing proper relevant documentation to corroborate our accusations. Had I made those videos without providing documentation from, the Internal Revenue Service, actually doing my journalistic duty to contact all parties involved on tape, then people would laugh me out immediately. Nobody would ever talk about that situation, and I would be a laughingstock. That is a situation Max is currently facing at this moment, and it's entirely of his own volition. Okay, so now that we've seen the first video, we went over it. The amount of evidence in this first brainwashing piece has culminated so far in one witness testimony, not part of that video. It's a 4 to 5 hour piece you can watch. No supporting evidence to help corroborate the situation, no records of conversation, no travel documentation to show a minor at the time traveling across state lines. which is a very important thing. And he didn't even explain what this cult was. I don't know. I only know the name of this person, Cade. I know what Max is accusing him of. I just don't know of any supporting evidence to assist Spencer's testimony and accusations, even at the time, which I want to stress can be true. Again, I don't know anything in this situation. I was not a fly on the wall, but I want to know more about this vampire werewolf cult. So far, nothing tangible from Max has been explained. And again, that's a serious crux of this problem. The second video on Max's channel is titled, "This is What Happened to Mama Max," a 25-minute video explaining the current trajectory of the channel and addressing criticism. In this video, he covers the history of what he produced, how YouTube tackled his racy uploads, and how he constantly shifted gears to YouTube's evolving climate. One of the big turning points in there was when he worked on the Kanye Quest video and found a group of friends in the horror community, in the dark horror community. And he found that there was an alarming situation of predators in YouTube comment section searching for kids. And this is where Max claims his fight would be headed. Regarding the accusations he made the previous video, nothing really substantial comes in this one. And it's more of a response to the criticism that he's been getting on that last video, rightfully so. So I want to address some pieces of criticism that he has.
Isn't scary. It's edgy 2010 era garbage. It's gross that Max is doing this thing where he pretends to reach out to other big YT channels in order to help victims, when in reality, he's exploiting these victims to try and get views. Genuinely evil behavior.
Genuinely evil behavior is taking the conversation away from sexual predators who victimize children and making it about the YouTuber that covered it, specifically because you don't like them. Your profile picture already speaks volumes about where you're coming from. If my aim were merely to chase views, I am in the absolute worst market of content creation on YouTube to do so. I am engaging in projects that require time, research, scripting, filming, and editing, just to get less views than everyone who is following the latest drama or trend.
This sounds a little deflected to me because regardless of who posted that comment and what sites they could be affiliated to, you are covering content that involves you hunting down some groups, investigating and bringing to light serious crimes. Regardless of how much of a filmmaker you are, these are real stories, and hiding behind a shield of vulnerable children when people question your nature just doesn't sound good. People right now especially are rightfully looking into your work, critical of how you perform these investigations and how involved relevant law enforcement agencies are, and how the people you claim to go after are actually converted into real tangible arrests. It's also dishonest to say that you could make more money when you are in a more profitable niche on YouTube. I get your videos are demonetized and age restricted and gangbanged in the algorithm, but your videos have been massively successful, millions of views, and you built a following on the platform, which by the way is the hardest part of this whole game. You've also built a Patreon where your last reported figure was over 1,800 members. Now, Patreon introduced a free tier about 3 months ago, according to this FAQ, but with a peak paid membership of around 3,341 members, according to this statistic website, Graphtreon, and based on the recent membership options, if you take just the minimum amount, $7.50 Canadian, which is around a little over $5. Let's make it 5 even. You're looking at a minimum paid earning potential before taxes and Patreon fees of $16,705 just for the peak month, which ain't bad if you're only making 2 videos a year. People are putting money into your pocket thinking that it is going towards your fight against serious bad people. And that's not bad money for uploading, again, very little. And this level of pocket watching was brought to you by our sponsor, Anti-Deflection Argument. You definitely did profit, and I wonder just why in October of last year you started hiding those membership counts. But that being said, this was not a terrible niche for you financially, and you got to admit that.
Making subjects as serious as child and abduction brainwashing, and using them as mere window dressing to get noticed again because your YouTube relevancy is dwindling rapidly.
Comparing crucial issues like child, human, and as window dressing for YouTube relevancy says far more about you than you realize. Months were invested collaborating with the survivor to ensure her story is portrayed in a manner that reflects her lived experiences and the gravity of her suffering. In fact, the full 5-hour interview was uploaded to her channel instead of my own.
What kind of a response is this to a valid question? If you spent months researching this topic, then you would be able to present the narrative of Spencer with the best evidence that you can publicly present that would help build her case against this person that you have labeled a cult leader and child. She posts a 5-hour video of her interview and testimony on this situation, which is great, and I'm glad she gets to speak her piece. But let's not ignore that serious allegations require very serious pieces of evidence to corroborate them. We cannot work off of testimony alone. And that's what everyone's been saying about the situation. Had Max provided evidence about this, then it would be all okay and gravy. And that would be fine. But in this situation, he hasn't done that.
But if talking head videos are the language that the internet understands, then let's speak it. So, last week, I released a charity video in collaboration with the survivors of a destructive cult that has victimized hundreds of minors. Despite its significance, it turned out to be the worst performing video on my channel. While I fully accept responsibility for the video's underperformance, I want to make it clear, before the video even hit the platform, the survivor was integrally involved. Nothing was done without her explicit approval. The wave of criticism by detractors about a narrative that is not theirs to tell reveals behaviors that aren't just unhelpful, they are harmful.
Once again, he describes the situation as a destructive cult that victimized hundreds of minors, yet has produced no evidence of this cult even existing yet, any cult documentation, not even a name Max has uttered up to this point. Again, he's failed to provide tangible evidence of the hundreds of children. Again, this would be something you would have locked down with months of research before you would even produce these videos. It should be easy for someone who's claimed to actually have pedophiles, arrested. You understand evidence and why it's needed to substantiate claims. Max's third video on the topic was initially called "This is the greatest cancellation of all time" at Penguin0, #WeAreReal. Since then, in the backlash he received, he changed it to reacting to the reactions of the SSS Sniper Wolf's action. It's fair to also mention now that a lot of the disdain Max has for the community that he is preaching to is not responding to is because he genuinely believes his work is meaningful and that the attention at the time put towards SS Sniper Wolf and her drama regarding Jack's films was, something that people looked at more. Now, obviously, one topic can weigh objectively more in regards to the seriousness of the allegations mentioned. But SS Sniper Wolf was a pretty big story at the time, which involved a larger creator revealing the home location of another creator critical of them. It wasn't meaningful playground nonsense. It actually had real tangible implications on YouTube as well. Anyways, the video begins with a disclaimer, which now doesn't mention any fictitious elements. He hopes the video brings crucial eyes to topics such as youth trafficking, serving as what he believes is a guide to easily digestible content regarding these serious topics. He starts a parody of this talking head video showing a fictional creator covering lighter topics, but chooses to discuss serious topics as he cuts to Sniper Wolf. He cuts to Spencer, and then multiple victims calling for actions. He summarizes Spencer's story again and makes claims of a dangerous sex cult that is led by a werewolf god recruiting hundreds of young children. Where's the hard evidence? I think by now you probably realize that there's nothing that he's showing is necessarily hard evidence. So he presents new things in this video, except it's all hidden in between frames of this massively schizophrenic editing and incoherent garbage. Look, this is a serious matter. Please present it seriously. Leave this on for people to digest and provide context to what you're showing. So I'm going to go frame by frame and show you each and every single screenshot to show you exactly what he's shown. So one of the actual posts he shows is from Whisper, a social media app that promotes you to speak openly and honestly about yourself. It's meant to be this anonymous social media app that lets you post and share photo messages with text embottled on top of them. Here's the post where they're asking the reader if they're human, they want to learn about being supernatural, and if their age is between 11 to 18. Please message them. Now, while this is an alarming post, it would help if Max could try to, link this directly to Cade or, to any person and, bring this up the chain, explain the context. But without that context, it's just a screenshot that exists. The next screenshot he shows is from a messaging app, I assume Facebook Messenger, where it's cropped, unfortunately, and I can't seem to get an identity of the parties. And also, screenshots are incredibly tough, at least for me in most cases, because as you've noticed with, situations like Dream, where he faked DMs from Pokimane and XQC, and there were some people that actually believed this. It's easy to fake a screenshot. So again, the whole concept of just looking at a screenshot is tough, at least personally for me. Unless I can log into the account and refresh from the server, then things are different. But this is a cropped argument, and it's a clear argument between two individuals. One who appears to be reaching out to a person to explain reason to them, telling them that they're looking out for them. The other person, says Cade, who is the person Max is alleging to be this cult leader, of course, stating they have one more time to bother his family before he tries to make a visit to Texas, implying this violent threat, and a response is, try me then. The next screenshot of a Twitter account called Camden exists, where the handle ID Black Angel is cut off. And using a Twitter advanced search for this, the account yielded no results, which unfortunately means I can't prove that the screenshot from Twitter even exists. And I also wonder why Max cut off the handle for people to look up on Twitter. The other mention is literally a public post from this Camden individual saying, getting sucked by Kirby equals raisin balls. What is the context here? How does this explain the cult? How does this explain anything? This is why people are mad. He is presenting these screenshots like they're damning evidences, and they are not. He then shows like social media accounts that are on Snapchat of allegedly belonging to Cade, which again, what context does this add? What does this mean? He then shows a social media direct message from, I assume this is the app Whisper. Correct me if I'm wrong. And again, if you read the chat, I was bitten by a wolf. That's how I became one. Can you show you in your form, werewolf form? What's the context? What are we talking about here, man? Like, this could be anything. He then shows like the Twitter account that belongs to Cade, and he actually gives a handle, but this account has been inactive since 2016, really. The next thing he shows is from a public Facebook account from Camden that says, suck it raw. Again, what is the context? Okay, I probably wrote suck my dick publicly somewhere too. Does that mean that I have done something nefarious or I could be running a cult? What is the context to these messages? You have to be able to provide them. Otherwise, people are going to be confused. He then shows the only tangible piece of evidence in this, for me at least, where it shows Spencer and Camden together in a photograph, which proves that they've met in reality. He then shows more images of random people, couples blurred out that I can't exactly identify, and he's also done a poor job of blurring them out too, so I'm going to add more blur on top of the blur. But what does this mean? What is the context behind some of these images? The only ones important to me are of Cade and Spencer, because those are the only people that he has introduced us to. He shows us one screenshot of somebody making like devil horns in an Instagram selfie. And again, poorly blurred, but what is the context here? He's even blurred out the actual Instagram blurb, the little text blurb that even talks about this. What is the context? He then shows an image of a bite mark, which again, I have to ask, what is the context? Is Max showing this as a evidence of physical abuse? Without context, it could be anything. It could be somebody getting the hickey. It could be whatever. Max doesn't do this. He doesn't elaborate on what he shows. He just presents it as part of this flashy editing. The next screen grab is Charlie talking about Sniper Wolf, which I assume is a jab because he tried to get Charlie's attention, but Charlie wasn't having it. He was busy, had COVID at the time, and just didn't jump into this.
Stop ignoring mamamax. Yeah, so here, you want me to talk about it a little bit? That rubbed me the wrong way. We talked like a month ago about like what he was working on in his investigation. And then apparently when I had COVID, he messaged me a couple times and I never saw it. And now he's taken that as me ghosting him and ignoring his very important mission. And it really rubs me the wrong way. Instead of just he's jumping to the most extreme possible explanation for me not seeing it, which is really fucking cringe. That did make me upset. There. Yeah, that really rubbed me the wrong way. I had COVID. I barely used Discord in the first place. It was a miracle I ever even saw his message to begin with. And then I spent 12 days not doing anything online in bed. And during that time, apparently it changed his whole framing of the video in order to make it like a Trojan horse of cancel critical because he didn't respond to my messages and ghosted me. So yeah, that did rub me the wrong way. Good intentions, but I did not like that.
So then he shifts it to the National Human Trafficking Hotline that gives statistics on trafficking reports. Again, you haven't linked onto the trafficking situation. It's all been random screenshots without context connecting a story together that many people just aren't understanding. He shows one screenshot that describes how Kate told me not to. But you also want to know what your humble leader did to me? He convinced me to go to his house at the end of last August and engage with him. He told me, and I still talked to the guy that drove me there. I also almost got arrested for walking to his place at 2 a.m. one day because every full moon we have to have. And also, don't forget the miscarriages he made me induce. This is the only other piece of evidence or conversation that is pertaining to this very serious topic. Everything else is insanity. So Max explains how his sister got him in contact with the story. He switches the discussion to mass surveillance, explains how evil markets such as forced labor and trafficking exist, which is true. But how does this tie back to the story of Cade and the allegations you've made? Again, he hasn't provided solid evidence. He's just sort of thrown things on a dartboard, haphazardly tried to connect them, and made a fool out of himself. He goes on to this unrelated rant on artificial intelligence and how it can be used to manipulate and exploit vulnerabilities. And after this, they have a call to influencers that they should use their platforms to become agents of change by platforming unsubstantiated claims, apparently. It shifts to this part where he chastises Charlie by showing tons of communications he's attempted to have. And again, like I told you, Charlie wasn't there at the time. He had COVID and he was in bed for 2 weeks, unable to really, look into the situation. Now, this video is like the final nail in the coffin. People really started losing faith, and I hope you understand why. Look, Max made a joke of this situation, in my opinion. He was brought this story, and honestly, it caused a lot of people who were already watching this raising serious questions on his character, serious questions on the validity of this case. And in response, Max didn't make any follow-up video to explain this case properly. Instead, he hosted these live streams, inviting all manners of creators. I even joined in and I explained to him what I explained privately. Max, as you can imagine, has not listened, which is why we are here right now to discuss a story that should have been delivered with seriousness and not showmanship. And I'm going to briefly go over the story of Spencer now and her interaction with Kate. Now, Spencer's story is the part that Max has been harping throughout the entire 3 videos that he's made. And the video that Max wants you to go watch is a 4 to 5 hour podcast from Spencer's actual channel. Now, again, if you are 100% interested in the complete accounting from her end regarding the story, I highly recommend you go check her video out. But the problem is these videos that are this long are obviously going to have a viewer drop off. Max understands this. I understand this. And if you've made YouTube videos for longer than a week, you probably also understand this as well. Reality is Max has to be concise and explain the story properly. Now, in this situation, the best video I could find that concisely explains this for the audience's first viewing is by a YouTuber known as Slime Beast, who basically made the video, "What the is Mama Max talking about? Werewolf Cult Simplified." And by all means, it's a pretty good video that explains how this situation was effectively about Spencer, who was a 16-year-old girl who met an 18-year-old Camden online, who was only found out that he was 18 at the time from Slime Beast's actual assessment into public police records. So, of course, Spencer ran away from home to live with Camden, an 18-year-old person that she met. And of course, going in forward, Spencer's presence in Camden's family home was a secret, giving him full control over what she was allowed to do, which is one of the points of contention for a lot of people. She lived there for 3.5 to 4 months, and the mother, and it appears that other people may not have had an idea that she was there the entire time. Again, 3 to 4 months, I'm sure that human beings, no matter how busy you are, you may have an idea that somebody else, other than the people you know, is living in your house. Maybe you catch them sleeping, maybe something happens. This is a point of contention, but again, I'm not here to go into contention. I'm here to relay what the supposed facts of this entire situation is and why it's been lost in a miasma of confusion. So during this time, Spencer was abused in multiple ways by Camden, allegedly, by her own account, which that is effectively the story. Camden had also tried to get Spencer to sleep with people that he had found online, allegedly. So again, this is effectively the quick summarization of what is Spencer's story. I highly recommend you check out her channel and her video to get her full accounting, because there are a lot more details that are interesting to hear, and it's not entirely even about Spencer too. So again, going in further, the cult aspect, which is by far the most embellished aspect and the most unexplained one by Max so far, is best described as Camden being a werewolf god, allegedly, and amongst other things, whatever deities they may be. He convinced Spencer and others that they too were vampires, werewolves, and they were hunted by outside forces, which meant that they should all stay together as a pack, a family. He claimed that he could send their dead loved ones to hell if he could. And again, through these methods, this guy allegedly controlled various targets and people who were joining into his fold. He would then have his followers try to recruit others online, some as young as 11. And that is, of course, alleged. Now, of course, this is a quick, concise explanation, and I highly recommend you check out the channel Slime Beast, who actually did cover and read through this as well, too. And it lines up with my personal interview with Spencer that I had a few days ago, and generally like watching through the 4 to 5 hour piece. I think this is probably the best concise way that Max should have put it. And here's the reality. There are actual things that are alleged here that are more important than even the cult aspect. The story that is provided should be treated with a serious nature, instead of the tangents that Max wanted to go to. But of course, this is the problem when a YouTuber who is way out of their depth jumps into a story that they honestly shouldn't even be relaying and should absolutely hand it off to professionals at the very beginning. There is no excuse for this. This is purely on Max's screw up that people are looking at the story in such a confusing manner. The other takeaway from this is Spencer's video is that Max was also apparently being investigated by the FBI.
A failure of Collin County Police is what you would say.
I don't think it was the police, because like I said, I went through trafficking 911 and they handed it off to the FBI.
The FBI never responded.
Mm-mm.
That's interesting. I literally got a card on my front fence from the FBI. They didn't even bother contacting you.
No.
Spencer also brought victims, and I can't stress this enough. She admitted that she went on social media apps and started to form connections with people that could be as young as.
What was the operation? Did he tell y'all, like, go to these places?
So my particular recruitment style that he also encouraged others to do it this way too, was to go on Whisper and post about, oh, hey, if you want to join a family dynamic and be a part of a pack, hit me up on Kick, or like DM me, and then we'd give them the kick. So there was one time he did have me lure a girl like physically.
Now, that said, I'm not qualified to be speaking on these situations because, again, without evidence and without properly understanding the story, I don't know the proper accounts. That's for Max to detail and describe. If he's not putting in the effort, how can he reasonably expect every other influencer in the world to put in the effort to interview and understand and then make claims on cases like this? Now, what you're about to hear is a portion of a call that me, Max, Spencer, and another YouTuber by the name of Nicholas Diorio had when interviewing and confronting Max about the situation. And while the first hour of that call was more centered around Spencer's story, the second hour of this call was more around Max's demeanor and his actions regarding this investigation. And there are quite a few bombshells in here that we personally feel are a little too irresponsible, I guess, if you wanted to put it lightly. Max had actually revealed to us that there were portions where he didn't even properly vet and timeline all of the evidence.
I guess the challenge for me with showing the evidence is I personally have not been walked through the evidence besides Spencer's. The survivors in the server, not all of them are as active as we would like them to be. Obviously, a lot of them have trauma. They talk about it, and that it's hard for them to actually just sit down and speak with me. But that's why I've been just asking the general public to please be patient. Like, there's a lot of things we need to wait for. I am just trying to get the word out that this is Camden Gerard Davis. This is what the accusations against him are. And it's also, you can also, like, we are fine saying this is all alleged. Like, we are fine if.
But you can't just say it's alleged now. You've been calling him a
'cause
pedophile.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm fine doing it because I trust them. But
Okay, but
all
you
I
but you
wanted
said
to
you
do-
didn't review most of the evidence besides Spencer, though.
I reviewed the evidence. I just haven't had the context as to what it is pertaining to.
So you looked at the evidence, but you don't understand.
Yeah, in the exact timeline, which has been just one of many reasons why it's been such a struggle to create the comprehensive timeline as I'm waiting on a lot of different things.
But you see, that's why people are inflamed with you right now. It's because you just told me in this call that you didn't properly review every single victim, and now. And just from this one clip, you can ascertain the complete frustration that I and many others have had when communicated by Max about the situation. How is it that you can make calls to action and blatant statements of fact when, at the end of the day, you have literally not even properly reviewed, you have not properly contextualized, and even timelined every single bit of evidence that consistently builds? You're clearly not an investigator built for this case. And it's not literally because someone like him is out of his head, because he only is one person. I have done plenty of investigations. I've just never revealed and played my hand and explained things until I fully understood them. How Max couldn't do it for such a serious situation like this is insane. And that's where we're leading to now, is his unethical practices, not just this in this investigation, but other previous investigations that a lot of people have been casting doubt over. Now, unfortunately, with situations as messy as this, Max's unethical coverage needs to be talked about. Max has been live streaming by bringing these victims on to discuss and debate with randoms on the internet. And for the most part, this has been very unhelpful. And this time could have been better spent with him preparing this evidence, the timelines, preparing a video, and discussing the situation properly. The levels of productivity on these live streams are so fucking low that at one point he brings on Keemstar.
Lyrics, please do not name drop my exes on my stream.
Well, why wouldn't you just tell?
Why are
I actually
you
don't even know what
running
you mean.
cover? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was talking to Max though.
Yeah, you can hear me. Why are you running cover for these vampire?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, Keem. Good shit.
Vampire in
Yep.
the Minecraft community, you're going around, you're running cover.
That's
for
my
a
fucking cult.
storm of
Yep.
EDP 445s. You're gonna
You know
flood the
me.
world with EDP 445.
It's fucking.
And Keemstar brings up old 2016 memes. In this moment, these girls have to sit there and basically realize that their entire story is being invalidated in real time, is being made a mockery of in real time, as Max doesn't bring a serious person to discuss this topic. It's also questionable with the relationship that Max has with law enforcement in regards to prosecuting or assisting to prosecute this case. When confronted on a live stream by other YouTubers, he actually had a lot of questionable statements to make regarding this specific topic and whether they were working with law enforcement or whether they weren't. And this raised a lot of concerns, and again, another red flag to me.
We are not going to court, Xylee.
So what are you doing? Just hunting them down like a deer? Is that what we're doing? What are we doing?
Have you not been listening the stream?
I know, but you loop. You loop, and then you always look to somebody else for an answer. You can't give an answer yourself.
I'm answering you.
What are you doing then? Tell me right now. I will be quiet for you to answer and go.
So when we reached out to the lawyer, he told us it would not be beneficial to pursue a case against Camden Gerard Davis because he likely does not have substantial assets. So he recommended that we all go in person to report him to the police station that is in his jurisdiction. That is what
So
we are
they
doing.
didn't tell you to go into the okay, is he still in the same jurisdiction that the crime occurred?
For the most recent survivors, yes.
Okay. Because I was always under the impression you have to go into the jurisdiction that the crime occurred. All right. Then yes, carry your pretty asses over to that jurisdiction and go, hey, Mr. Police Officer, I have a crime to report. Yes, that's what needs to be done.
Yes,
Hell,
that
you
is what
might
we are
even be
doing.
able, and because since COVID and stuff like that, you might even be able to do it over the phone. I don't know. I don't know because I've only dealt because I know you're in a different state now. You know what I'm saying? But I've had to do it. I've had to do stuff like this before on my own accord. But yes, you need to go to the police of the jurisdiction of where the crime occurred and go, "Hello, Mr. Officer, can you help me?"
Yes, that is what we are doing.
Okay, that should have been done before all these live streams.
Again, this is by far the most important part, is the relationship to the law enforcement. Again, it's not really properly conveyed, in my opinion, whether this is a criminal, civil case, what departments are properly involved, just how the evidence has been submitted. This is a key concern of mine and many others, and it should be a key concern if you want to see justice actually delivered. And of course, as people have looked into this, a lot of shifting has went into what Mama Max's previous content and the validity of it also meant. About a month ago, actual Redditors started to investigate Max's older content. Seeing the unhinged live stream caused me to wonder about some of Max's past content. His newest God Cult and his current project stuff has been reviewed so many times. So I wanted to watch an old video, and particularly his Cartoon Incorporated video, IMVU, and Puppy Stomp. So while this is a very long post that you can read, one of the oddities, and I'll summarize them to the best of my abilities, is with Cartoon Incorporated, conveniently considered lost media as the channel that posted it cannot be found. The Frozen 3 video is edited with a similar style to Max's older content. Brainwashing clip. Subliminal messages hidden within the clip uses the font Pixter Granular, a unique font type that appears in Max's later videos. The font type is not a default font on Windows OS or in Adobe Fonts, meaning the font was searched for and downloaded or purchased. Side note, someone recreated Cartoon Incorporated and posted breakdowns of the brainwashing clip. What is the likelihood that Max shares the same unusual font with something he happened across that literally no one else can find? Editing style also seems similar to his old video intros. IMVU. It is implied in the video that an account under the name Casey was exploited by Pablo Sunny. Remember that name. The account only has one friend, Pablo. Max makes note of how she's isolated and moves on quickly. Max supposedly finds the YouTube account owned by the same person by image searching her profile picture. The image is from Naruto. Now, how could one reverse search and find that specific YouTube page? Screenshot of IMVU profile, Naruto character, and YouTube page. So this is the one right over here, Naruto profile picture, IMVU, you get the point. He implies that he somehow gained access to the account to locate these unlisted videos. One of them is titled, "This is Where You Killed Me," and depicts a bloody white sheet in the woods. With Casey corresponding with herself in the comments, it is implied that she herself or disappeared off the internet. Oddly enough, the completely inactive Casey accounts no longer exist on YouTube and IMVU. They were deleted at the same time Max and Sylphit's IMVU accounts were also deleted. The most similar Casey account I could track down in 2002 and appears to be entirely unrelated. And then he claims in a Discord Q&A that Casey is actually alive.
What about Pablo Sunny again? Does he know he's been caught or something? Oh, wait.
Yes.
Is there an update on Casey? Can you talk about how you got into the account or how you found it? That's a bit much.
I can't talk too much about KC. I don't know what I can and can't say. I will tell you that yes, she's okay. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, thank God. I didn't even know that. Holy shit. That's something I wanted to actually jump in VC with you about at some point.
Yes, but
thank God.
So in one surface, he says that she could be dead, and then all of a sudden she's okay. There has been no proof that this Casey person even existed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make an unsubstantiated claim. At the end of the day, I haven't had the time to sit down and review every single bit of Max's back catalog as I've been researching his current investigation. However, during the call with me, Max, Nick, and Spencer, he was absolutely telling at the time that you shouldn't really be taking a lot of his content seriously. It's meant to entertain. The facts are often embellished or at least simulated when it comes to producing movies, which I think is really ethically damning when it comes to producing content that is all about hunting down children or, pinning a lot of these crimes or implicating a lot of these public services on cases like this.
So recently, people have been saying that your investigations kind of skew the line between fact and fiction because they're finding things that you've created as context for the video. I think people are pointing to the Discord server that you were an admin of when you were showing it. The lawsuit that you changed the name or whatever. How much of what you do is kayfabe and how much of it is legitimately like live? This is the investigation. Here it is.
So the investigations themselves are real, but obviously the films have fictional elements. There's multiple reasons. Like, for example, the admin thing on the Discord server, I had to recreate it.
Yeah,
Like, that was a recreation because I didn't have the originals. The IMVU thing, I wasn't. I don't know why people are saying like it's a film. Like I am presenting it as if it were to be real, but I didn't think people would take it as that. Like,
but wait, you hunt pedophiles. You don't think that people are going to think your videos are real?
So that's the thing. So I want everyone, when you watch my video, to assume everything is fake, except like when I show a face and what they're doing.
Again, why are we interspersing fact and fiction when it comes to incredibly serious stories like this? Look, I'm not here to say if Max is definitively faking his stuff or not. People definitely have their suspicions. But the thing about it is if you're admitting that you don't want people to think your content is real, how can you honestly take the responsibility to cover serious cases like this when you are admitting that, yes, my audience, if they watch my videos, I don't want them to think anything is real unless I show this person's face and make serious accusations. Look, either all of it is real because this is supposed to be an investigation. This is not some movie, okay? This is not some fictionalized media. Even media that does dramatic recreations is following facts, okay? If that's the content they're trying to produce, if the content they want to produce is making investigations where they are going after the darkest corners of the internet, people have a very reasonable expectation to believe it's real. So again, with Max's former content coming into question, that also shows you that maybe questioning everything that Max shares is probably the only way to go now. If the man is willing to fabricate some things for videos, and again, in a call that we had with Max, it very much is apparently the fact. He is not above, actually. So this is an interesting part of the situation. We actually know about the Pablo Sonny stuff at a closer heart. So I had a call with Max alongside Nicholas Diorio, Spencer, the victim, and of course him in a Discord call a couple days ago. And inside this call, he actually claims that he doesn't know if anybody has been arrested.
Have you ever gotten someone arrested?
If I have, then I don't know it.
You went on my podcast to tell me that you've got someone arrested and it was because of your video, just to be clear. Would you like to re-answer that question?
I've been emailed stuff like, hey, you got this guy arrested, congratulations.
You went on and you said, this guy was arrested, it was because of me, it was because of my video. And you told me that 2 years ago.
It's kind of egotistical of me to say that it was my video that did it. I don't know that for sure.
But then you said recently that he fled to the Philippines. So was Sonny ever arrested? Pablo Sonny? Did that ever even happen?
Yes, he did. All we know is that his last location we picked him up from was Mexico. Whether he fled to the Philippines or not, we don't know. We just know he has family there, and that's the most likely destination they would go to, just because
he was in like so he was arrested. That was
Pablo Sonny. I don't think so. I think he got away.
Dude, what the fuck?
If he was arrested, I have no idea.
Why did you tell me he was arrested? You said Pablo Sonny was arrested and my video did it. Why did you lie to me on my show?
Do you have a clip of that?
Yes. It's in something I've been currently editing.
Yeah, send it to me.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. I think there's even a video on YouTube. Actually, can you just jump in the screen share? I'll just pull it over because somebody archived it.
I guess I can hear stuff, but I can't see
Perfect.
anything.
That's all you need because the visual is a drawing. Okay, here you go. This is the two clips, contrasting clips of Pablo Sonny. Okay, so obviously one of them is in December 29th, and the other is, December 29th, 2021, and the other is November 27th, 2023. Okay.
Okay.
What is your primary goal? Is that then? There's no, what's your other,
Well, I guess the question is like that the Nick's getting at is like, okay, so you want to enact this change. What do you hope is the eventual result of your video?
Okay.
Of all this.
So I know there's people out there saying I'm doing it to self-serve. I just want my video back up. I don't give a shit if my video comes back up. It did what it needed to do. So that was in the video is currently in police custody. And
was that as a result of your video, or was that prior to the video?
Yes, it was because of the video. Right. The video was about IMVU and this one predator. I made it about him and him alone.
IMVU is a game, right? You played the game and you exposed this guy.
Yes.
Do you mind walking me through the chain of events that led from your video to him being imprisoned?
Yeah, so I dropped the video. The end of the video is a call to action. Usually all my videos are a call to action, like find him, and we did.
So in this case, find him meant like you didn't know who he was. You wanted his doc so he could go to jail.
All we had was his face and his voice.
Right.
And out of that, I said, find him. And then within 24 hours, we found him. And then I started social engineering all of his friends to give me his information, and they did. And then we pegged him. He fled to Mexico. We found where he was in Mexico.
Wow.
I don't know if the police, he was from Canada. So I don't know if the police asked him to come back.
That's all terrible people are.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if the police asked him to come back or he went on his own volition or they forced him to come back. I don't know any of those details. I just know he went back to Canada and was in police custody for a certain amount of time.
So you lied.
So that was what I was told through Instagram posts when I was in contact with his friends.
You didn't remember that until I showed you the clip? You didn't remember that, like, this is your biggest crown achievement, that you got a pedophile arrested?
I didn't remember the details, no. I just remember he fled to Mexico, all the police custody shit. That was only shit I was told. I couldn't verify any of that.
So you just got on stream and told everybody it was me, I did it, mamamax #1.
Yeah, that's not cool. You can let people know I think that. I mean, we literally had him in a voice call. Like it's like the Mega Drive. Like it's literally us saying we're 14 years old. He's saying, "Yeah, I want to see like I want you to ride me," and shit like that. To what he thinks is a 14-year-old, and we verified that by telling him like, "I don't know, I'm young. I don't know, I'm only 14." I think that should be sufficient to put him in prison. But the law says otherwise, I suppose, because as far as I know, he hasn't been imprisoned, and people have been I received an email that someone was going to talk to the deputy about why he hasn't been arrested. And I'm also actually going to start interviewing police local to me as to don't get arrested, because I know they all want to arrest them. It's just the law binds them.
So you've never actually gotten a pedophile arrested?
Not to my knowledge.
He doesn't even know if he had any arrest under his belt. So for a person to blatantly lie about this kind of shit, this very serious stuff is obviously things that are going to bring every single aspect of his character into serious question. Now, he fails to tell the survivor story in a proper manner. What really also burns me is Max's incompetence to using actual proper research. He literally brings ChatGPT and believes that it can provide legal advice. All right, let's see, what is this? Oh, not ChatGPT, bro.
Okay. So, look at what I just sent you.
Yeah, you sent me a ChatGPT prompt, not a fucking legal definition.
I mean, we can argue legal semantics all we
No,
want.
we're not arguing semantics. We have to look at exact definition, Max. This is the problem with this situation. You're going in with evidence that can't be 100% corroborated. You're going in with allegations as an evidence. Courts would laugh you out.
we talking to your lawyer, ChatGPT?
Yeah,
right
is this
now?
your?
Like,
Is
what
this the
fuck
lawyer?
is
Like,
going
dude,
on?
right here, bro. Come on, dude,
If
you
the
can't.
judge-
You know, if I make a video on this, this is what I have to work with. How do you honestly think I can take your side logically? If tomorrow I was like, oh, where's Max getting his legal definitions? Oh, ChatGPT. By the way, ChatGPT has also been getting fucking dumber over the last few months. I mean, come on.
If the judge and jury find a witness statement credible, they can charge or convict you of a crime based solely on witness testimony alone. That is from BergenCriminalAttorney.com. Y'all can look it up.
Show me that. Show
Like,
me
we
what.
can
Then
argue
show me.
this. We
Show
can
me
argue
that.
this
Show me
all
that
day, Murtaugh.
definition. Show me that definition, not the ChatGPT. Why'd you not bring me that one?
I am giving you multiple.
Give me
Like, I
that.
am
Give me the
telling
one
you-
from the legal definition. Why'd you bring me ChatGPT? Link me that right now. We'll read it together.
ChatGPT understands the legal system.
Now, and of course, in one situation, Max was also in his own controversy with various ex-relationships of his life, which if Max believes that accusations are evidence or allegations are evidence, behavior can be evidence, then all these 5 girls that were bringing allegations against him, Max might be what they claim. These allegations were brought forward by the victims, but organized by someone named Magnetar, a boyfriend of one of the victims at the time. Max outed Magnetar as Anthony and accused him of pedophilia.
Say why?
Anthony, Haley's boyfriend, Magnetar on YouTube, the one who published this video on me.
One of the worst crimes imaginable. And it might have been okay if that was just one screw up, but as of recently, he still made more unsubstantiated claims.
To me, that was a poetic ending, is that this guy who put all my exes together literally has a testimony against him, and not only by one person, it's supported by multiple people. And there are now news stories coming about that he was sneaking, that he was sneaking, that he was sneaking into his high school as an adult, eating lunch with freshmen.
There was but you're trying to use other people, that there was multiple people coming out against Magnetar to try to bolster your argument. But there were many more people who came out against you. So I just
without
don't understand
evidence,
I just don't understand.
And although
Did
the
you have
burden
evidence?
of proof
what
was on
was your
them,
evidence?
I provided the evidence.
Wait, what was your evidence against Magnetar?
Max's account and evidence against Magnetar at the time amounted to a witness statement over Twitter, and that was all he really had to bring. He made a serious allegation, and even then, he followed up in his video that he wasn't going to continue investigating because there wasn't enough actual evidence.
But I have not made a video on him, despite wanting to all these years, because I do not want to harass them, and I feel this is not enough evidence to build an entire case against him. So I have not and will not until we have more proof.
Max made an unsubstantiated claim against Magnetar without sufficient proof, showed a bunch of his photos, gave out his full name, place of work, and basically ruined this person's life. Now, look, I have no idea what the truth of this situation is, right? But what I do know is Max made an unsubstantiated claim, and I made a very severe mistake of not looking into this at the time and giving a friend of mine a serious softball at the time. In reality, I talked about this on an episode of our podcast and without intention downplayed a serious situation, not just for Magnetar, but for some of Max's ex-girlfriends in that situation. And for that, I'm beyond sorry. If you call someone a, which he did, make sure it's 100%. In the last 24 hours, Max made a video titled, "I'm taking accountability into my own hands." Now, there's a few things I want to address from this video because for the most part, in my opinion, it's mostly him not really taking any accountability other than for basically bringing Charlie into something that he never needed to be in the first place. There's 2 things I want to address from this that really drive me insane.
Let's just start from the beginning. I met Spencer. She told me what happened to her. I told her I was busy with other projects, but if you need me to hand this to someone else, I will. She said, no, I want you. And so a few years later, I finally came back and I was like, okay, are you ready? And we did the podcast.
How is it that you can waste 3 years on what could have been a solid investigation and decide to cover other content that people are now questioning the characteristics of, content that you have admitted to us is presented in a factually like misleading way, where we have to sift between fact and fiction when you had something real? If you could put the case, something you believe so serious, off for 3 years, why do you give the average creator 3 weeks to figure things out? I've actually known more about this case in the last 48 hours than I have in the last 2 months. I even found a YouTube channel through the help of one of the victims that reached out to me. And they showed me how, yes, one of these channels exists and how they predate on girls in the Georgia area. These are things that slowly are being built up, but I'll get to that later. The other point is this.
But you can't just tell your story anymore. Now you need concrete evidence. Now you need to go to law enforcement multiple times. Now you need to consult with lawyers. Like, we can't just listen to survivors when they're screaming for help.
Yes, you do need evidence. This is such a misleading thing by him. Yes, I get it. People do listen to survivors. There's nothing stopping the story of survivors being out there. You have put it out there 4 to 5 hours. But beyond putting a story out there, if you want people to join your call to action and start going after and publicizing somebody who you are calling some of the worst names imaginable, then they need more than witness testimonies. They need corroborative evidence that can actually seal the deal or make a reasonable case against somebody. This is not some podunk crime we're accusing somebody of. This is the worst possible crime that somebody can commit. And everybody, including you, needs to have all of their T's crossed and I's dotted. This is a massive concern. Yes, we live in a world where evidence is also required alongside the story that is provided. And that's just how the world has always worked and how the world continues to work. It's one of the reasons why you were able to exonerate yourself and people didn't just blindly believe the allegations against you. If we lived in your world, Max, you would be one of the guiltiest parties imaginable. With that said, though, this video is getting on long enough, so I want to kind of touch upon one more clip that I'm still actually trying to process.
Well, I'm asking why you did not directly contact me, but contact us only in public stream.
Let's see. I contacted you November 27th. Max, I've seen your latest video. I've caught up with this whole situation. I have texted you.
What it felt like seeing him on streams.
You went on with Tommy and Lyrics and are sitting there talking to them when you literally haven't spoken to the other survivors.
Hold on. Can you put Max on for a second?
I'm right here.
That was snaky as fuck, dude. Oh, I'm coming after you, Muhar. Stand back, Spencer. Can you tell him what you felt? You are literally just a little
because
snake
it
hiding
literally.
behind her, dude. That's
Can you
disgusting.
listen to me? Can you listen to me? It was so fucking heartbreaking hearing Muta sit there and say that, oh, if this is fake, then I'll gladly put money towards Camden's defamation trial.
Yeah, if it is fake.
I thought you said it's fine with saying it's allegedly. Now all of a sudden,
it's
there's
real.
There's no like other side to the story.
How do you feel? How do you think that it makes myself and the other survivors feel when you're saying that? It is okay to think that, but you're going publicly and saying that to everybody else when you haven't spoken to the others. I'm just trying to understand, why would you do that without talking to us?
I've spoken with Max. Max is your representative. Max is supposed to be the one bringing the story across to everyone. And yes, if in the case that everything is actually... Why is it your job? Because you're the one who's like spearheading this. You're the one spearheading it. What do you mean? Fine, give it to Spencer's channel. Spencer, you upload this whole thing.
What? You're the fucking person who's running the investigation.
Oh my
This is your face.
This as well, and you haven't.
Yeah, why are you putting it all on me? Like, yes,
you're the fucking one bringing it. Why are you talking about this case?
I am the first one.
Yeah.
I do not want to be the only one.
You're the only one. Well, then you are the only one. You haven't convinced. Exactly. You haven't made anything
I
compelling.
haven't been listening to them. I've been trying to set up a call like this
for months.
Yeah, and I've had a
Why-
2-hour-long
Minotaur, why
call,
can't-
and I'm not
Minotaur,
moving anywhere close to the situation. In fact, I have more questions.
Why can't you take initiative to talk to other survivors?
Well, I'm talking to you right now more than anybody else. I want to address one comment I made here for Spencer and another apology I want to make. I can understand how she could be frustrated, and any of these potential survivors hearing that I would pay for a defamation case. In reality, this is a heated moment, as you can imagine, where it's basically a big fuck you to Max. Throughout actually investigating this entire situation, to me, I find it wholly disrespectful that people will put actual effort. I will do my absolute damnedest to come with all the evidence I have. And anytime I do an investigation, and Max is playing incredibly loose. All I've seen is a character here that has made a mockery out of serious investigations, covered things with no due diligence, and in fact, if anything, has made unsubstantiated claims. To be honest with you, Max is on a thin rope. And this kind of a thin rope ultimately leads to collateral damage for everybody else involved. Making claims like this and causing a big mockery of this situation ultimately puts the case that is being built at risk. And I don't think Max is intelligent enough to truly realize this. And this is where this comment comes out of frustration. Speaking with more of the victims after this call myself, I feel very disgusted hearing any more about the situation and the things that have been alleged to go behind it, which is why I'm doing my due diligence to at least try and help these victims out, but privately, not a public spectacle like Max is doing. Now, to say that I'm not flashbanged still by this clip is beyond me. Now, I have no ill will against any of the victims. I have no ill will against Spencer for even saying whatever she said to me in this moment. I actually put more of the blame towards Max since he's the investigator and lead charge of this entire process. This all falls on his shoulders. To say that I'm not doing enough when I have spent 2 hours of my life in that call, I've talked to 2 other victims, and I've also researched what this cult is. And again, I've learned more about it in the last 48 hours than I have in the last 2 months. Look, I'm not an expert, and I can't claim to be doing anything that is genuinely super involved in a case like this. But I guess to end this off on somewhat of a positive note, I don't know what to say other than I have tried to give my time, my energy, and I will continue to do it in a liaison capacity. Look, there are people that are trained for this, lawyers, cops, even other YouTubers who've worked with lawyers and cops regarding similar situations like this. And all I can say is, given my time and tenure on YouTube, the people that I've worked with, I've built connections. And what I can do is utilize those connections to allow people to actually investigate this case. But at no point is anything that I'm going to be doing anymore regarding the situation public. I'm never going to be making a follow-up video, and I never am looking for any apology or reconciliation from Max. To be honest with you, I absolutely dislike how he's handled this, and it's left a serious bad taste in my mouth. With that said, all I can do is try to handle this situation and assist these victims and survivors privately, whether that be at least even paying for a legal team to bring this to a law enforcement team, or working with people that can work with actual cops to investigate this matter with the respect it deserves, and hopefully gain justice for the parties that feel that they have been wronged. Ladies and gentlemen, I have nothing more to say. Max is the prime example of a YouTuber that has let his ego go way far beyond than it should have. He has taken a serious situation and made a complete mockery out of it. And ultimately, I don't really think that he has a place on this platform. With the kind of content that he's made and the kind of profiteering he's done on serious topics, I have less respect for him than everyone else that I've covered in the past. That said, this is me, Mudahar, and I'm out.